Possibly one of the most devastating and sinister entities in Little Nightmares universe is the mysterious North Wind, which we read about in the first issue of the Little Nightmares comic. As the original Little Nightmares comic has been discontinued, we can't take everything from it as proof to explain the current events in Little Nightmares, as it seems the creators might have taken a different turn in the story. Nonetheless, there's a lot of information that we can extract from the comics, which still might relate and exist in the Little Nightmares world, as it would be counterproductive to create so much lore and scrap everything off. Either way, if Northwind still has any part in the current Little Nightmares world or not, this video is for entertainment purposes, focusing on the tale of the North Wind. Hi folks, I'm Ari, your narrator, and here's a video about who the North Wind is. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and beware, as there will be spoilers ahead. Let's go over the story first, whether you have read it already or not, to get the necessary information we need for analysis later on. The comics seemingly take place during the events of Little Nightmares 1 game, before the end where Six defeats the lady. Six runs away from one of the ships and escapes through an air duct where she meets 5 other children sitting around a bonfire. All of these kids are hooded apart from one who wears bandages, seemingly all having special powers, just like Six, with a good power which they can use in their advantage, or detrimental and evil powers which cause misery and death upon others or even themselves, with the latter being the most probable. Six struggles with remembering the past events she went through, at which point a boy decides to tell his own story, a dark and sinister story. The boy starts with the heading of the tale of the North Wind, displaying an anchor-looking medallion to Six, quoting that we're given these charms at birth where I'm from. Therefore, we understand that this boy is not from any world or place that we know of, not from the Nest, the Pale City or the Maw, but a different place with different types of people and backstories. The story narrates that these charms are supposed to protect children from the North Wind, but one winter, they didn't. Nothing did. We need to consider if the North Wind that the boy is talking about at this stage is actually a natural storm-like wind, which happens often where he's located and geographically, or the hostile entity we'll talk about later. Not to cause confusion, analyzing the information further down the video, it seems that the North Wind that these charms are supposed to protect children from is actually just a typical storm-like wind, but the entity in the story looks like wind, and as we don't know the actual name of it, the boy calls it the North Wind. The story narration continues. 2 children survived, but the North Wind gave them no rest, and after what happened to their village, they were of course welcomed everywhere. Now this line is quite bizarre, especially that the artwork suggests otherwise, with presumably the village people chasing after the children with pitchforks and torches. Is it possible that the North Wind actually originated from this boy? It's the boy's power which he cannot control, just like the shadow latched to Six, which he cannot control, causing extreme hunger bouts, forcing Six to consume people and drain their life forces. The story narration continues. So the children ran, the North Wind forever at their heels. These children alone, unwanted, even the years passed them by. This again suggests that the wind followed them everywhere they went. But why? It confirms in a way that the wind is actually the boy's power. That's why it's latched to the boy. The boy and his sister come across a barn where they take shelter from the wind to rest from all the running. After a brief break, the North Wind appears outside of a barn and starts by asking, "My boy, why won't you play with me?" Then it starts losing its temper, and what I presume happens here is deafening shouting by the wind saying, come out now," while destroying the surrounding field outside of the barn and scratching the roof of the barn. The story then carries on narrating, despite this shadow haunting his steps, the boy feared nothing of death. Very interesting use of words in here, if I admit. Six has her powers. Her power is sinister and evil and uncontrollable, embodied in a form of a shadow. Could this suggest that the wind is the boy's shadow? A menacing, powerful ability that the boy possesses? The boy then responds to the wind, "Leave us be," and then very specifically, with bolded lettering, "Leave me be." He's very specific the way he says me to the wind. Keep all the information in mind in the segment, as I'm going to slightly touch on them here, which I will break down in depth in the next segment of the video, which I have made into chapters for your ease. The wind responds, "Leave you be? Where's the fun in that? To say nothing of the wager I'd lose, even though my adversary is a bit of a cheat." The boy, confused by what the wind is saying, he asks, "What are you talking about?" The wind continues his menacing monologue. "Oh, you poor lost thing. Why are you making all this so hard on yourself? Come now. Aren't you tired of running? Aren't you tired of hiding?" Saying all of this while displaying his hostile powers, zapping birds to instant death where they lose flesh down to bone, and throwing them into the barn. The wind tells the boy that it's obvious that all this running is over, and urges the boy to give up. The boy pleads with the wind about his sister. At this point, it's unclear if the boy is trying to protect his sister against the wind, or if he asks the wind what would happen to his sister if the boy leaves with the wind. Which makes sense, as it's the boy's power seemingly, and that the wind wants the boy. The wind then tells the boy, "Ah, the girl. There's something you need to see. Just step outside, just for a moment." The boy, uncertain, asks, "No trick?" And the wind responds back by saying, "No tricks." The sister tries to stop the boy from going out, but the boy carries on and goes out. As he does, he bursts into tears, shell-shocked in his place at the sight of what he's seeing. The boy sees his sister dead for a long time, without flesh, as a skeleton. The boy, not knowing what to say, asks when did this happen, which the wind responds by saying, "Your sister has been mine for a long time." This part gets a little confusing, as you might ask yourself, who has been the girl following the boy? The story carries on narrating, but there are others, suggesting that there are other children like this boy. Then the sister transforms into the ferryman, who offers his hand to the boy. The wind cries and complains, "No, it was so close. This isn't fair." The wind then destroys the barn when the boy leaves. The story narrates some more. And so a deal was struck. Shelter, warmth, safe from harm, where little things hide away. We get back to the current place where the children are sitting around a bonfire in the maw, the story ending by the boy saying, "I'm safe from him at least," pointing out to the wind. I'd say the wind definitely needs to work on his speaking and social skills if he wants to win any wager next time, to say the least. Now let's go over crucial points of the story and break down cryptic texts and theorize who the wind is and what it wanted with the boy. The place that the boy is from is a different place to anywhere we know of from the Little Nightmares game series, which presumably goes beyond the reach of the eye and its mind control through TV transmissions. The boy shows an anchor medallion which fits the lore of this tale, that it protects the children. It's not specified whether this medallion actually has any supernatural capabilities or that it's part of their tradition in that place to give the children these medallions. The boy, alongside his presumable sister, run away from their village, being chased by the village people having pitchforks and torches in their hands. The text reads that after what happened to their village, they were welcome everywhere, with the last word written in bold. Could this suggest that the wind is in fact the boy's power, which he cannot control, and unintentionally it got out of control and destroyed the boy's village? Also, the word everywhere could suggest that they were welcome to the maw, as the boy has some impressive yet dangerous powers. It's written that the wind followed the boy and his sister for a long time, even years passing them by, while they're unwanted. Again, this hints out that the wind is latched to the boy, and due to that, he's unwanted, and therefore chased by the village people who had their village destroyed by the boy. When the boy and his sister take refuge in the barn, the wind only teases the boy and doesn't destroy the barn, which we fully know it's easily capable of destroying the barn in a blink of an eye, which he does at the end of the comic when the boy leaves the barn. The wind doesn't seem to want to harm the boy, as if the wind's existence depends on the boy's life. Instead, the wind tries to reason with the boy to possibly get some sort of closure with him, to maybe get on the same page, and go on destroying villages, with a happily ever after ending. It's reminiscent of the ending of Little Nightmares 2, where Six looks at her shadow and seemingly comes to terms with her dark side, accepting that she needs to go to the Maw, absorb life forces, and survive. The Wind also displays its abilities that it could easily kill anything as it kills many birds and throws them at the boy's feet, to prove it just wants to talk to the boy. The Wind also shows that his sister is dead, being clean of flesh and only bones, seemingly as if she's been dead for a long time. So if the Wind wanted to hurt the boy, it easily could. The Wind mysteriously talks about a wager that he's had with an adversary. Who might this adversary be? The Wind carries on by saying that his adversary is a bit of a cheat. Soon we witness the boy's sister transforming into the Ferryman, at when he offers his hand to the boy, with the boy leaving with him. Meanwhile, the Wind cries that it's not fair. So I guess it's fair to say the Wind's adversary is no other than the Ferryman. But why is Ferryman his adversary, and why is he wagering? We know that eventually the Ferryman takes the boy to the Maw. Maybe the Maw is a place where children can control their powers, eventually get a position, and then use their powers for running the Maw. But the Wind possibly wanted to possess the boy fully, and that's the wager it made with the Ferryman, for who might be the winner. It all comes down to the lesser evil in here, which seems to be the Ferryman. The boy, being shell-shocked, witnessed his sister dead in the position of the Wind, similar to how the birds died, clean of flesh. What I'm not sure of is whether the Wind killed the sister, or the sister died and rotted on her own. And as the Wind is the boy's power, the Wind naturally and instinctually kept the sister. The first reason why I think the Wind killed the sister is because the sister is dead in a similar fashion to the birds, in bones. Also, it's a cliche that usually the alter egos of the heroes in movies or tales, in a plot twist or turn of events, are usually the antagonists and the culprit behind all the problems. The other reason why I think the sister might have died naturally and rotted is that in the text it suggests that the boy along his sister ran with years passing them by. So this might suggest that the boy has supernatural powers that keep him young, while he had the delusion that his sister is still with him. And the Wind, to protect the boy, never told him about the sister until the very end for closure. At the very end, we learn that the sister has been dead all along, with the Ferryman posing as the boy's sister. We understand from the Wind that a wager was made between the Ferryman and the Wind. Maybe not literally made in words, but what each intended to do with the boy. The Wind addresses the Ferryman as his adversary, maybe because the Wind would be placed under control in the Maw, and the Wind wouldn't be able to possess the boy and do as it pleases. The Ferryman seems to have wanted to lead the boy to the Maw in a calm and reassuring manner, not to stress him out. But as things go sideways, he transforms into his original shape and offers his hand to the boy to take him to the Maw, his rightful place. After all, the text suggests that there are others just like him. That brings us to the end of the video, folks. I'm intending to run a competition soon to choose the best theories and dedicate a video to them. So keep tuned by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell not to miss out on the competition. Also follow me on Twitter under the name of GamerSue, which I use to communicate with you folks and make announcements. Thanks for watching the video, keep on being awesome, until the next time, have a fantastic day.